Well, I think Ohio is very close right now. I think it's a complete dead heat.
Ohio is Romney's pathway to the White House. He needs Ohio.
Well, Ohio is key. The polls aren't just close, but the stakes are also really high.
This is our Romney campaign headquarters here in Ohio.
This is Sheila, and I'm calling on behalf of the Romney campaign. Kim Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan count on your support this November election.
I read something of the other day that said this election was basically not for the United States of America, but for the United States of Ohio, because we are so important in this election and we are such a major swing state.
The one thing that the president has always had on his side are young people and people who are willing to actually do work for it. Governor Romney does not have that same kind of support for young people. The president does, and it's frankly the thing that's going to win the election.
Ohio has been extremely important in the presidential elections.
We're not taking any of this for granted, and it's Ohio's a critical state.
When you vote with Obama 95% of the time, it hurts Ohio.
I think Ohio is a good example of a state where you had the president perform pretty well in 2008, but because of a lot of the decisions he's made and because of a lot of the policies that he's put forth over the past 4 years, people have been very disillusioned with him.
The president's invested a lot in terms of auto recovery, right, which saved a million jobs. There are, I think it's 80 of the 83 counties here in Ohio have auto parts manufacturing, so it's a big issue.
It's important in Ohio to get out the vote in the city centers and the counties that surround them. Faith and Freedom Coalition is a conservative Christian organization that's committed to getting out the vote. We have seen a demonstrative attack by liberals and President Obama on life, on women's issues, and attacking religious liberty in the United States, and specifically in Ohio.
Next to the door now, they'll better get that whenever they open the door.
No president has faced the obstruction in Congress that President Obama has.
I don't think anything is a must-win state or a can't-lose state by any means. I think that Ohio puts us in a good position to get to 270 if we do win Ohio. But we see a lot of opportunities all across the country.
Forward is just words like hope and change. So.
We feel confident that they are very enthusiastic, they are very fired up, so we see opportunities to go and find some of those Democrats who may have voted for President Obama in 2008, are disillusioned with him this time, and bring them over to our side. Take those 18 electoral votes from the president and put them back in Governor Romney's column.
It is about taking our country back, right? Yeah, it's going to hurt, but I believe Romney will be the one that will get us on track. He will be our George Washington of the day. It's like 1776, 1860, and today.
Without President Obama's rescue of the auto industry, Ohio would have collapsed.
Mitt Romney would have just let us go under.
The strategy here in Ohio is really to get out the vote. So this has always been, I think, a big contrast between Governor Romney and President Obama, that the field strategy and the ground game per se is huge. We have 130 campaign offices here in Ohio. 15 of them are just in the Columbus area, and you've got a really fired up one here next to Ohio State's campus. And you'll see polls go up and down and all sorts of things in between. Very few times do they call cell phones. They almost never call dorm rooms or fraternity houses or college apartments, for those of you that actually still have landlines. The number one priority, which is jobs in the economy, making sure that you guys have a better likelihood of getting jobs when you graduate, turning the economy around. And unemployment here in Ohio was 10.5% when the president got inaugurated. Now it's down to 7%. We want to get that even lower.
We will be getting out the base. Also, we will have conversations with those people if there are any undecideds or leanings one way or the other.
We had a group about, I'd say 15, 16 people here. And a couple of them were undecided, a couple of them weren't sure where they're going to vote or if they're going to vote absentee. But we actually had a good amount of Obama supporters. And I let them know that, how important it is to vote early. Right now we have a lot of people who are registered as Democrats. A lot of people who, are going to support the president. The question is whether we can turn out the vote. And it turns out to say we're going to ID our supporters. We're going to say, hey, guys, we can get you out to vote. We can make it as simple as possible for you. We're going to get you out to vote as immediately, get the president reelected, and get more people out voting as well.
Hello.
Hi.
We're from the Romney campaign.
But, Franklin County is going to be a tough one.
We're going to get it.
Oh, I hope. That would be so wonderful.
We're going to get it. 48 to 48, Rasmussen.
Well, we needed 49 to 48.
I just think he's a better leader. The economy needs back on track.
And I just think he's a decent, honest man. I think it's terrible what happened overseas when they let our 4 decent American men die.
Well, we're from the Romney
Okay.
and Ryan campaign.
We probably like the Mitt Romney when he was running Massachusetts better than the Mitt Romney that ran in a Republican primary. We don't want 4 more years of stagnation of Congress not doing anything. Going with Romney, I think the congressional Republicans will go along and come up with a plan.
Let's see if you would support Mitt Romney.
We've already voted.
Great. Did you vote by the ballot?
Absentee ballot, yep.
Great for you.
Huge Republican. I just believe that, we need less government and a very good tax plan that is going to help build and grow businesses and support, the things that we need to support to grow our economy, but not grow our government. In terms of my faith and my values, I just believe that Romney more represents those than President Obama.
We're not very shy and will always be seen canvassing voters in the Mighty 18. And we're actually going out in pairs. There's going to be an odd and even, okay? So we need a driver and a non-driver to get together. I'm going to be out canvassing today. I'm doing 2 shifts too. The goal is to do 1,000 knocks today. We're here in the neighborhood targeting Democratic voters and making them aware that they can vote now.
And this weekend what we're trying to do is get the boots on the ground, if you will. Get out the vote. We go door to door and make phone calls. And by going door to door, we're essentially getting people out who would identify as conservative Christians to get out and vote. In Ohio, it's very important. Without the evangelicals coming out in Ohio, essentially candidates can lose or win without that.
So the boots are made for walking?
Exactly. What was the phrase we had?
That's just what they'll do.
That's just what they'll do.
But we don't walk all over you, we just walk you to the polls.
That's what.
My name is Austin Paxton, and I'm a volunteer for the Ohio Faith and Freedom Coalition. Here to remind you to vote on or before November 6th.
I'm a faith-based believer. I don't know if I vote based on what they're recommending. I'm still wavering. I don't really like either candidate very much. Social issues, I tend to be more conservative. Economically, I'm more conservative. Some other issues, maybe foreign policy and things, I tend to side more liberal. I'm for getting rid of entitlements, but not just for the poor, for the rich too. I guess I'm leaning a little bit more towards Romney at this point. If he perhaps can, help us economically, if he can do some things to help economically. I don't trust him as a person though, because he tends to flip back and forth in what he says.
Republicans are a lot more enthusiastic and fired up to vote in this election than Democrats are.
I don't know what the media is doing, but they seem to say that there is this energy gap, this support gap. I have really not seen it. I worked on the Obama campaign in 2008, and we had dedicated volunteers. But I will tell you, we have even more dedicated volunteers, and the Barack Obama campaign is far more organized than they were even in 2008.
We cannot be a nation of takers only. A lot of people seem to think there's some sort of different type of entitlement attitude. Somehow that if you have worked hard and you got a lot of benefit from the economic system, then somehow you owe to the rest of the world to give it to the people who might not have had as much of a ambition or really the willingness to work for it.
And as Democrats, we're out there supporting our fellow man versus what's in it for me, okay? And that is what's getting out the vote.
There but by the grace of God go I. And anyone who falls on hard times, I could be that person who's fallen on hard times. So in fact, we are all in this together.
Over these past 4 years, I think over his first term, the president has really shown that he's fighting for every American versus Mitt Romney, who has obviously said that he doesn't believe that he can win over 47% that believe they're entitled. But the president shows that for every American, whether poor, rich, wealthy, or if they're of a different race, if they're white, Protestant, Muslim, whatever, he believes that he fights for them.
For people in general, everybody, poor, rich, middle class. I think Obama, I think he did what he could the first 4 years. There's so much, it was a big mess from when Bush was in, and he's trying to fix everything. And I think you got to give the guy a chance. I mean, he did some good things, some things he failed on, some things, but nobody's perfect.
trying to make sure we can get out the vote for the president. I'm working on the early vote right now. Are you actually going to be supporting the president?
Yeah, I am.
Awesome. Have you voted yet, actually?
No, I have my absentee ballot.
You have an absentee. Are you going to be voting back at home?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. It's simple volunteership. We actually have, I'll show you the list so it's not as intimidating, right? So
back in 2008, I was really split between McCain and Obama. And I was really kind of like on the fence about it. And I actually didn't get to vote that year. I had like just missed the cutoff. My birthday is like at the end of November. But I guess like, but when I like first like saw like just like platforms of the two, I was really like, they both seemed like very similar. But once Obama was elected, I really was impressed with the way he handled foreign policy, healthcare reform, and his economic policy. I thought was good. And now that like this is my first presidential election, it's been a great way for me to like really like kind of be able to like really compare their two platforms and their policies. And I very strongly support Obama and everything that he wants to do.
A lot of people claim that the economy, we shouldn't be focusing on women's rights, that it's a distraction from the main point, that's the economy in this election. But I think in order to have a strong economy and a strong nation, we need to focus on every individual's rights, and especially women who constitute half of the population of this country, and to know that women have the right to choose what they can and cannot do with their own bodies, and to know that a group of men in Washington aren't controlling what we can and cannot do with our bodies, and knowing the president believes that as a woman I am intelligent enough to know what I can and cannot do with my body is really important.
I'm offended. I'm very insulted by all this narrative that's trying to be developed around me, telling me that's what the issue ought to be. I'm more concerned about whether this America has a great job opportunities for my younger daughter when she graduates from college. Somehow we've been stereotyped into some sort of a female healthy issue. Female issue is making sure we have enough grocery money, making sure we have enough gas in our vans so we could take our kids to the practice game.
You do know that $716 billion was stripped out of the Medicare, put over to pay for Obamacare, and eventually you won't have Medicare.
For people with Medicare, the insurance that they will be able to continue, and not only them, because this is not about being selfish. You know, oh well, it'll be okay if you're 55 or over. It's not about that. What this is about is for everyone. My children who are in their 20s and early 30s, I want Social Security and Medicare to be there for them.
We see a real opportunity. It's a very close state. It's one of your typical swing states that you see every presidential election, so we're doing everything we can to make sure that we win it.
I feel very good about Barack Obama's chances to be reelected president.
I feel very good at the president's chances here in Ohio. The enthusiasm has been very exciting. People are really excited, especially to see this long campaign finally about to wind down. We're about to see we're close to the finish line. We're going to make sure that we run through the tape, build up the lead in the early vote, because we've had a big lead in the early vote, and we're going to make sure we can continue that lead and push the early vote numbers, make sure we reelect this president.